and welcome. Welcome to the God Talk, guys. My name is Michael Mack. This is Michael Koran, my beloved friend, and we're here to talk about all things God-related, faith-related, and to explore, for the first time ever, not only in our lives, but in the history of humanity, to explore what this moment means. I got a story for you. So Michael and I, before the show, were talking about addictions, and I've had many over my lifetime, and it seems, in fact, like my lifetime has been this constant letting go of a lot of different addictions. When I was a teenager, it seems like that's where it all started. Somewhere around teenagehood, I picked up a lot of things that were just not very good for me, things that I developed strong cravings for. Alcohol, drugs, cigarettes, junk food, and other things that will remain nameless for right now. And it didn't take long. We're talking like, within 5 years, I was a mess. Dr. Pepper, 6 a day.
Wow.
6 a day. And if the machine broke, this is when I was in the military, in the barracks, if the machine broke, I would reach up under, into the guts of the machine, find that can, and yank it down.
You have done.
I would have that Dr. Pepper. So, as I think about my life, there was a turning point that I had. A turning point when I was about 20 years old. And I was lying in bed, probably 3 a.m., passed out from a day of drinking and a day of drugging and junk fooding, passed out next to the woman who would one day become my wife and one day become my ex-wife, and one day after that become a friend that I stay, after all these years, in contact with. But I woke up, and the TV was blasting, and I had a ripping hangover already, and I also had a vision, a kind of vision. And I went to this imaginary place where I could see a different kind of life. There was a different kind of life possible than the one that I was living right then and there. And what I saw was literally a kind of dawn, a clean dawn, in which I no longer drank, I no longer did drugs, I no longer smoked, I ate healthy foods, I exercised, I did all the right things, and I felt a lot better. That's the vision that I had. And I started saying this aloud. I started naming these things that I could give up in describing this new kind of life that I could start. And my beloved girlfriend at the time, who would one day become my wife and one day become my ex-wife, she sort of like struggles up out of her own sleep and says, "Mac, what are you talking about?" And I try to explain, but I can't explain. I just see this vision for a new life that I could live. And I was around 19, I think. I was around 19. And so I began there to, in incremental ways, very little ways, little steps, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, start to give stuff up and start to change my life and start to feel better. Start to feel physically and psychologically better. Now, I would have to quit smoking about 30 times before I found a way to do it. And so that was the story that Michael suggested I share with you. This is a fun story. And it's a story that my father also likes to tell, and I will explain why. I hope to remember to explain why at the end of the story. So, here I am, smoking a pack and a half a day. Winston's or Cools or Salem's. I sort of went back and forth between those brands. And that was back in the day that a carton of cigarettes was $5. Today, a carton of cigarettes is over $100. it's mind-blowing. So it was affordable then in a way that it's not affordable now. I believe that's so. Is that right? Is it $5?
I just bought one pack for $10.
That's it. That's it. It's $100 for a carton.
Yes.
Unbelievable. So very different world that I was living in back then. So it was much more affordable to smoke, and so I could afford to smoke a lot. And I was never able to just quit. In fact, I remember making various bets with various friends. I remember one time swearing to a friend, all right, I'm going to quit. I'm going to quit right now, right after this cigarette, I'm quitting. And he says, you want to make a bet?
Wow.
And I say, all right, I'll bet you. I'm going to quit. And so, I don't know, we put $10 on it or $20 on it, something like that. And I did quit for a few days.
Wow.
But I couldn't not have a cigarette. And I went back and I started sneaking cigarettes in the latrine or sneaking cigarettes outside. And then there was one morning, we were roommates, which made it tough. So I certainly couldn't be smoking in the room. This is in the barracks in the Air Force. And so one Sunday morning, I got up and he was snoring away on the other side of the bed. So I went down to the break room, the TV room, to light up. And halfway through this cigarette, while I'm watching some commercial on TV, I see the door slowly open. And I see this eye in the crack, the crack of the door. And I know that the game is up.
Oh my.
And so I pay him. So, but there were many cases like that. I couldn't just quit. I couldn't do it. I could never say to myself, you can never smoke again. I couldn't do it. I didn't have that kind of willpower. But what I did have, and it took me a while to learn this, what I did have was a systematic mind. And I still do. It's the way I approach everything, is with a system. And so what I ended up doing was developing a system. And the system was that I would take my pack of cigarettes in the morning and I would wrap them with a piece of paper and 2 rubber bands. And I could smoke as much as I want. There was no limit to how much I could smoke. But what I had to do was to unwrap the pack and make a note on the piece of paper, the time of day and what I was doing, how and when I was having the cigarette, and then I could smoke away. And at the end of the day, what I would have is a list of 20 or 30 instances of when and how I had a cigarette. So, and I learned that I had a cigarette with coffee in the morning. I had a cigarette right after a meal. I had a cigarette when I'm on the phone. So I had all of these associations, these connections between a cigarette and something that I was doing. And so slowly I started whittling down this list and cutting these connections, saying, all right, you can still smoke as much as you want, but you cannot smoke with a cup of coffee. You cannot smoke with a drink. You have to finish the drink, finish the coffee, then have the cigarette. You can smoke as much as you want, but you can't smoke immediately after eating. You have to wait, 20 minutes. So I started breaking these connections, breaking these associations, until I got down to the point where I was having about 5 cigarettes a day. 5 cigarettes a day that I really, really enjoyed. And then I set the bar a little higher because I really did want to quit. That was the goal. And so what I did was say, okay, you can smoke as much as you want, but you have to take your cigarettes down to the church a mile away and bury them. And when you're ready for a cigarette, you have to walk down, have one, enjoy it, and then walk back. So I was literally walking a mile for a cigarette. They weren't camels. I wasn't walking a mile for a camel, but I was walking a mile for a cigarette. But by that time, I was smoking 1 a day. And I really, really enjoyed it. But it was only 1 a day, so I was able then finally to just let it go. And I don't think that I ever said, okay, this is it. I'm quitting. It was like, I can smoke as much as I want, but I have to follow these rules. I have to follow these laws. So that was the way that it was able to work for me. Thank you.
That's very
Thank you,
nice.
Michael. Have you had addictions in your own life?
I used to have an addiction overeating when I was going to sleep.
Uh-huh. Sounds like there are worse addictions
Yes.
than reading before going to sleep.
No, overeating.
Oh, overeating before
Yes.
going to sleep. Okay.
And I once prayed, God, please, I don't want to go and eat the ice cream in the refrigerator.
Yeah, yeah.
And I heard a voice saying, you must be kidding.
Are you serious?
This is a true
Yeah.
story.
You heard a voice say that.
You must be kidding. Go in there. This is like classical Satan. I didn't call it that then.
Yeah.
Maybe I did actually. And so I just did what I was told and went in and had the ice cream. I don't remember how I stopped this.
Huh.
I don't remember. And I have. I think just I'm sorry, I don't want to even look now, but I don't do this anymore.
Hmm.
I still have problems. I have rules like you.
Yeah. I
No-
love rules.
No animal protein after 11.
Uh-huh.
But I might need a rule of no eating meals at all after a certain time.
I really relate to that your quandary because that's lifelong. Eat heavy before bed.
Yep. So I like last night I drank, I call it green juice, banana, raw vegetable, apple, blueberry, and water.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just liquid. And that, I got up so early, worked hard all day, was tired. Because if I go to bed hungry, because that's not really substantial, although it is nutritious. It is really eating vegetables and the banana and apple, but somehow in liquid form, it's different. So I have to be careful. Like, I don't know if you do this, I explore rules. Well, I don't know what guideline to give myself now, but I think I'm much happier. Like after the show, I think I might be much happier. I even have show and tell here.
Oh, this is the drink that you were having.
This is the green drink.
Green drink. Oh, that's the green drink. There was another drink that you
You had a
had.
brown drink, yes. That I can't have
brown.
late at night because that has cocoa.
Oh, okay.
But
Okay.
this is the green drink.
Could you
and-
please tell our audience what's in that brown
I
drink?
just did. Oh, the brown drink.
The brown drink. I would like you to see this. Just look at this. So, what's in there? There's cocoa and soybeans.
Yes.
Not just any soybeans, homemade soybeans.
Well, home. Yes. I mean, I buy the soybeans.
Right.
And then I
Then you cook them and you mash them up and
put them in a blender.
yeah,
Add ginger.
yeah. Sounds potent,
2
man.
bananas.
Sounds
Eating
potent.
a lot of bananas there.
Yeah.
Too. Yeah.
Is there cinnamon in there?
No. There is.
Consider
cocoa.
cinnamon.
Gee.
It's a actually I throw cinnamon. I try to have it at least once a day. It's very healthy. Cinnamon.
So
Anyway, a little segue.
So it's a hard choice. I think I might feel happier. I mean, it's tempting. I haven't had a real solid dinner to get some salmon at the harvest.
Mm-hmm.
But I almost feel, if I really check in, they do this, it's called intuitive eating. Have you heard of it?
Oh, I haven't. Intuitive eating.
Yes. And some people it works for, many it doesn't. But you just find out what you really, really want. Something maybe like you with the cigarette. And do I really want to eat salmon after the show? No. I learned to check in. It was so nice getting up early this morning. I was up till 3, but only on green drink.
Right, right.
And I think and now the hard question is, what's the rule
So
going to be?
It sounds like what you're saying is that when you eat heavily before bed, it means that you are lethargic.
Yes,
You don't have the energy that
right,
you
and
otherwise will.
I mean, getting up hungry is a good way to get up.
Yeah.
Because you want to get up, and I'm not going to eat my brown drink and even have cereal
Right.
in the.
Right.
So then the hard question, Michael Mack, is what's the rule?
Ah.
And should there be a different rule if I'm meeting with friends than if I am alone? And those are all possibilities.
What works for me is to have my rules end at the end of the day. So I start my day with some rules, and then I end my day. When the day is done, the rules dissolve. So a new day means new rules.
Oh, just one rule, one day for the rule. Oh, I see.
For me, that's something I've been experimenting with
There's
lately.
a thought. I have discovered that being honest with myself, which is not easy, because I'm very sneaky. And I have to say, I sometimes have a rule, you have to wait a half hour before changing a rule.
That's a good one.
But I don't know, but
That's a good one.
we're right in the heart of it now. What should the rule be for eating at night?
Well, what do you think it should be?
I was so happy this morning, getting up hungry, really.
So when was the last solid meal that you had yesterday?
Probably 6 or 7, not later than 7:30.
Could you live that way every day?
Well, you see, the beauty is if I'm hungry at night and I don't eat, I could eat. I'm allowed, like you with the cigarettes. I can get up in the morning and have a huge bowl of oatmeal. I can have my brown drink, which has 2 bananas in it, as well as soybeans, and I can have some salad or a hard-boiled egg. I'm free to eat after I'm hungry. So I think yesterday was. I think it should be probably 8 o'clock at the latest.
Is that what you're going to do tonight?
I think I'm going to do that because the show ends at 8. I'm not going to eat. I'm going to.
I'm not going to eat.
It was too happy.
Not going to eat.
Or the opposite. I was so happy getting up early.
Yeah.
Writing
Wow.
and reading.
Wow.
So
So you may be wondering,
I'm going to do it your way. Yes, one day at a time.
our audience, I love, one day at a time. AA and all of the 12-step programs have developed such beautiful and helpful cliches.
Yes, but yours is trickier because your one day at a time means that I don't have to have this rule tomorrow. Whereas AA's one day at a time means you keep the rules day by day.
Yeah. Well,
And
so you may be asking, what does this have to do, this talk about addictions, what does this have to do with God? And I'm not sure that I have the answer yet, but I will pose this question because I've been finding lately, as my prayer life in these last few years has become more and more active, that usually the first thing that I do, not usually, every day, first thing I do is I spend some time in prayer. It's like my feet don't even hit the floor when I'm praying.
wow.
And it's something that I have a hard time doing without. That if I don't get that, I get cranky. If I don't get that, I feel like something's missing. I feel so. I've had a lot of different addictions in my life, some of them more expensive than others. Praying seems to, it costs no money, it's free, and it makes me feel good. But I might have a little addiction to it.
Oh, I understand. Well, what's the difference? I mean, I have finally, I was praying every morning. I'm a little tricky. I'm a lot as disciplined as you. I pray. I sometimes first get to the internet and then pray.
First the internet, then prayer. This is the world we live in, man.
And at night, I really feel better going out on the roof and praying under the stars.
I'm getting this image. I'm getting this image. I can't. I don't know if I can do this because it's sacrilegious.
I think he's going to do it, folks. I have an intuition he's going to do it. Yes. Maybe not.
I'm imagining Jesus going to the Garden of Olives with Peter and James and John the night before, the night that he is arrested, to pray furiously. And hearing you say that, I can't even say it.
Oh.
I can't say it. I can't do it.
Oh.
I can't do it.
Call 876-0055.
Make him do it.
Make him do it.
I can't do it.
Anybody calling? 617-876-0055.
I can't do it.
We usually don't take calls, but this is a special moment.
I was just in confession yesterday, and I go to confession once a week, and I find it to be a beautiful sacrament, a sacrament as beautiful as the Eucharist itself, going to Mass and receiving the Eucharist. And what we talked about a few things, but one of the things that I talked about, I realized a few days before when I was talking with a friend of mine, and you know, I can definitely do the potty mouth. So this is a buddy of mine, and we're going off about all kinds of things, going off on women, we're going off on work, we're going off on everything, and next thing I'm doing, like effing this and effing that, and I realized afterwards that I sort of like, in the energy of that, in that kind of reckless scattershot energy of effing this and effing that, I sort of like lost my connection with the Lord, sort of like lost my connection. And so I had this idea that what if I went for a week without, am I at least a little bit addicted to this kind of talk? Maybe. And so what if I went for a week without? And it seemed like a great idea. So that's what I took into confession, is just, that this is what I've been up to, and this is what I'd like to try, is just giving it up for a week.
So what is it? I'm sorry.
So let me just finish,
Yes.
and I want to hear your question, your thought. And so the challenge that I set for myself is that I would not say, for this next week, of which I'm in this week now, no curse words, no foul language. And I've already messed up at least once, maybe twice. I'm not sure about the second time, but definitely the first time. It just like came out. And so I'm bringing much more awareness to the way that I'm talking, which is why I couldn't say what I was thinking about saying a few minutes ago. I just couldn't do it.
Oh, good.
That there are things that are sacred to me, and I cannot profane them.
Wow, that's very nice.
I might think them, I might feel them, but I can't say them.
Very nice.
So, you had a question though about.
So what is the difference between addiction and a good habit?
Well, the first thought that comes to mind is that an addiction is not a good habit.
So you.
So you're the prayer.
Yes, could you be addicted to something good? Yeah.
I guess the answer
I
is yes.
have. I've been addicted.
Because you and I are addicted to certain kind of foods. They're very healthy foods.
Yes, we're addicted to reading.
Yeah.
The internet writing is good, and then I could get into a place where it's time to stop and I won't. I don't understand. I know.
Yeah.
So I mean, good things can be addictive too.
Yeah. And that's the goal, I guess, is to have good addictions. If you're going to have,
No, but I would say there might be a difference. Well, like we both like to read and write.
Yeah.
My performing used to be an addiction for me.
Mm-hmm.
My friend Daniel Gewirtz said, you looked too excited when they asked at the Cambridge Center, anybody want to go on stage?
Oh.
And I finally got it. Oh
Yeah.
my. I was leaving my ordinary life to be the big performer. And the teaching was an addiction. It was very good. But it's maybe there's a sense of being freely ourselves that is different from not quite being ourselves when we're pulled to something.
Right.
So now I can read and be very present in my better moments,
Mm-hmm.
and be present, as you would say, and not be leaving the present for even reading or performing. Or
Yeah.
hopefully we have not been addicted with you for this hour.
So maybe if there's going to be any takeaway from this conversation, it might be that addictions really apply to habits that are not healthy, not helpful or healthy. Whereas you can't really be addicted to a good habit.
No, I was saying, well, you could say that. I'm saying something different, actually.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, that's very beautiful what you're saying. And I'm saying there might be a way of praying, or for me, certainly reading or teaching or being on television, where I'm not leaving my present, myself, my body. I'm not being pulled by part of myself. I'm all here.
Mm-hmm.
And so and I still have habits like prayer or eating and so on,
Mhm.
but it's a big difference if I'm all here versus just part of me.
There's
is
some
taking
part of
over.
me that needs this
It's
craving to be
taking
satisfied in
over
some
rather
way. Yeah,
than-
yeah,
Then really freely
Yeah.
choosing.
yeah, yeah.
And wrap it up, Michael. We have 45 seconds.
We have 30 seconds. Right?
Yeah.
30 seconds, or actually 25 seconds?
Yes, we can just
25 seconds to,
Yep.
I mean, we had 25
Yeah,
seconds.
20.
Now we have 20 seconds.
Yes. It's a brilliant wrap up, folks. You must, you've got to agree.
15 seconds
Really
to go.
sums up the heart.
Let's just sum it all
'Cause
up
we're
in these
present.
last
We're enjoying-
6 seconds.
We're enjoying the moment. We don't feel addicted to come up to
Thank you, Michael Koran. Thank